You're listening to Titletown Brawl, your Packer coverage 24/7, 365 on the Brawl Network.
Gun, three receivers left, one to the right. Packers need at least 7 yards to move the chains. Rodgers gets the snap. Blitz is on. Rodgers scrambles left, winds up Rainbow. He's got Cobb at the 10 to the 5 to the end zone. Touchdown and a dagger. Oh my goodness! And a touchdown. He did what? The shotgun. This is Brandon Jackson trying to pick his way, and he finds his way to the end zone. Touchdown, Green Bay. Cutting left to the 5. He's straight ahead, 10 to the 15. Slips the defender, 20. Spinning his face, still on his feet. 25 yards. He's to the 35 yard left sideline. Turns it out to the 50, to the 40, to the 30. Down the left side with a high ball to the end zone. Touchdown! Wow! Howell is back in town. The Green Bay Packers are world champions of football.
And good evening, everybody. It's another live episode of Titletown Brawl. It is me, your producer, Jay Andrews. You can hit me up on the Twitter at UPJ33. And as always, we got the infamous Brandon Jackson. Hit him up on the Twitter at BJackson32. What it do, fam?
What's up, Jay? How's everything going your way?
Man, I've had a hell of a day. I got another 2,000 square home house I'm painting the exterior on. It was windier than crap, trying to blow me off the ladder, and instead it chose to blow sand dust in my eyes so I couldn't see while I was on the ladder. And then my hitch on my van came apart. It finally rusted off the back while I was driving through town, so that was interesting day. But it all got better because I'm now on the show doing it with you, talking football, and tonight it couldn't get any better because we've got the man behind the scenes of my favorite morning show that I drink my coffee to every morning. We are joined by Matt, the Hammer Hamilton, the producer of NFL Network's Good Morning Football with the entire crew. Hit him up on Twitter at MattHamilton25. How you doing tonight? And thanks for joining the program, Matt.
I'm doing great, Jay, and I'm just hoping I can live up to that introduction because that was special.
Hey, you got to give JB, he's the one that told me that's your nickname. Now you're gonna have to explain the Hammer nickname.
Yeah, because that's what I was looking for, Jay. I want to know what the hammer's for. Because there's two things you can be: the hammer or the nail. So obviously, you're the hammer. So I want to know. How did you get the name, and who are you nailing?
It's definitely way better being the Hammer, that's for sure.
Right.
But, I had it as a kid back in baseball. Used to be able to hit a little bit back in the day. So I had that as a kid. It kind of went away after that. And then when I started the show, one day Peter Schrager just started calling me that, and it stuck. And, everybody just kind of ran with it from there.
Is Schrags the king of nicknames? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, he's handed out a few nicknames in his day. Now that I think about it, you're right. Throughout the course of the show.
I think Jay want a nickname now.
No, I already have a nickname. I got my nickname in my fighting career. It's Vicious. So
what's your nickname?
Ooh.
Vicious. The guys at the gym called me Vicious because I was rolling with a guy that was getting ready for a fight. He walked up to my jiu-jitsu coach and said, I don't want to roll with that guy anymore. He's a little vicious SOB. And so then all the guys are like, oh, and that's how you get your name as an MMA fighter. You got to get it from the people you train with. And so that's what it was. I became little vicious, and once I gained 20 pounds, then I wasn't so little anymore, so it just went to vicious.
That's a good one. Can't go with that.
I thought you said fishes.
I ain't fictitious. I know, Mr. Smiley Pants.
Like, you like to swim, huh? You fishes, huh?
Yeah, that's right. Real big fish. And not the band either. Check that one out. Google it, young people. All right, let's get right.
A ska reference. Let's go.
See, there he go. Thank you very much. See, at least somebody on this program knows where I'm going. He doesn't listen to that type of music because he's, that's not his thing.
Don't make me Don't make me get the hammer on you.
He's already here.
I just can't hear.
It's gonna be real vicious if I get the hammer on you.
Oh God! Don't play on the puns. You're gonna make me sick to my stomach, and we're only 5 minutes into the show, BJack. Come on now, come on. All right, man. Let's get a little bit of your background. Tell everybody a little bit of your story and kind of all the things you've gotten to, and a little bit of your journey, how you got to where you are now, Matt.
Well, I guess it all started in college. I was a student coach with the quarterbacks at the University of Missouri. I had the pleasure of getting pounded into the ground one year by Brandon Jackson, so that was fun. But learned a lot through that process. Getting to work with Chase Daniel during his Heisman finalist season. He's one of the smartest guys I've ever been around. I learned so much about the game just working with him. From that, coached some high school football in Connecticut. I worked as a scouting intern with the Detroit Lions. And then was a producer at NFL Films for a while. They brought me in to work on the show Playbook. They needed somebody that knew the X's and O's to work on the TV side. And I taught myself the production side once I got in the door and just kind of worked my way up from there. And I was lucky enough to take a chance, make a jump to go to an upstart show. That was just a theory at the point I signed on to do it, called Good Morning Football. And thank God that actually worked out and people seem to like the show, because 4 years later, we're still here.
Best sports show on television, period. Best one. Only show. No, seriously, Matt. It's the only show that you can turn it on. You're not going to agree with everything everybody says, but it's not a bunch of hot takes. It's not a bunch of bloviated, look at me, I'm just saying stuff to say stuff. You guys got an awesome crew there. You do an awesome job, and I think everybody loves that show. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's not number one in its market. I think I would be surprised if it's not, quite honestly, because I can watch it even when you guys do the short shows and then they keep running on a loop over and over again. I just keep it on. I can just keep listening to it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't bother me.
No, I really do appreciate that, and especially the point you said about how it's not a bunch of hot takes and all that. That's something that we pride ourselves on. We want to have genuine discussions. We don't want to feel like we're forcing debates just for the sake of debate to try to make television. We want to have genuine, real discussions and put our hosts' real opinions out there and have some actual basis for what we're talking about on the show. And it's nice that we have four hosts that each come from a different background and bring and look at the game through a different lens. Obviously Nate being a former player, Peter having the journalistic background, Kyle having played the game at the college level, and then also having just that fan perspective, and Kay through the fantasy football lens. So it's nice to get all of those different perspectives. And I come at the game through my own lens, through my past experiences, and it's been great to learn, and hear the stories from Peter and Nate and how they see the game, and it's taught me a lot as well, just from working with those guys.
Okay, I got a question. Is Kyle Brandt is pretty all the time as he looks on camera? I know he's a former soap actor and all that stuff, but how does that dude always look like he just came out of a Hollywood movie every day? It doesn't matter, even in quarantine. Nobody should look that good all the time. I'm kind of jealous a little bit.
I mean, I don't think I can tell him that you said this because I don't want his head to get any bigger. But yeah, I mean, he just, as you said, former soap opera star. He's on I've seen he showed us the pictures of him on the red carpet at the 51st Dates premiere. You don't get that kind of an invite without being a good looking dude.
I absolutely love his new pod on Spotify, the 10 questions thing. Dude, he's got the most exclusive quarterbacks coming on there, and he just gets stuff out of them.
Oh man, it has been so good. I have to say, obviously the Cousins the Cousins episode that he did today made a lot of headlines, and it was fantastic. He said Paul Rudd, and obviously his first guest was as big as it gets. He had Aaron Rodgers on there, and you're right, just the way he's able to just get these guys to talk and just make it a conversation, and that's part of what makes him so great is he just he knows the questions to ask, and it doesn't feel like you're being grilled by him when you have a conversation. It feels natural, and I think that's why he's able to get so much out of these guys.
Go ahead, Brandon.
Well, Matt, just listening to you, your journey seemed like you had a little bit of adversity and hiccup in the beginning, but it started to, kind of smooth out and take its course. And, man, you took off really, Where I say you kind of had some adversity and the hiccup is when you played against me. It was rough, And you get the nickname the Hammer, but I thought you got the hammer put on you when I playing you guys. I really think I put the hammer on you guys. So I think that's kind of go ahead.
You did, and I remember that day pretty vividly because that was the first big road game I got to travel for, and going into that building it's a different animal. I remember walking in just thinking how nice everybody was there. Like there's everybody's so nice. Like I come from the New York area, and I'm waiting for somebody to tell me they're gonna kick my ass or like spit on me or something like that, and everybody's just so nice. But once that ball got kicked off, I've never been in a place so loud. Like it physically hurt my ears to be on that side.
It rocks. So let me ask you this: what was your impression when they said "Go Big Red" and you just heard the echo? Like did that send chills down your spine?
It did. And when they had the black shirts, logo up on the Jumbotron, and they started going crazy for that. I mean, honestly, I'm not just saying this because I'm talking to you right now. It's the best place I've ever been for a college football game, and I was lucky to get to be on the sidelines for that and experience it from that perspective because it is an unreal atmosphere. And I think honestly, because we had such a young team at that point. I think we were kind of a little bit overwhelmed by it because, we got down in a hurry. It was 21-0. I remember late into the first, I think we hit a field goal going into halftime to make it 21-3, but it just went by so fast, and we were it was like we were just flooded right from the start of that game. And then we settled in a little bit in the second half, but we couldn't stop you anyway, so it didn't matter. But But no, that place is unlike anywhere else I've ever been, and I'm also glad we got to come in 2 years later and on your homecoming game after you were long gone. I'm sure you made a difference there, but put a little beat down on you guys. It felt a little different that day.
Yeah, believe me, I saw that. I was probably in the locker room, a little ticked off, but I did see that game. I recently last year I was with the FCS team and man, we went back up there to that stadium and it's totally different now, man. You guys have renovated that stadium and it's beautiful now. Probably given the fact that you guys are in the SEC. So have you been back recently or lately?
I haven't gotten the chance to make the trip back. Obviously, I still pay attention and I've seen all the renovations that they've done. But yeah, no, the SEC money definitely makes a big difference. But I miss those old rivalries. Those Mizzou Nebraska games are getting so good. By the time we both exited the conference, and obviously our battles with Kansas, we had some good ones there too. 2007, we played them to get the number 1 ranking in the country in Arrowhead Stadium, and those rivalries are just so deep seated. It's hard to replace those, but no, I mean, it's hard to argue with that SEC money. But.
Right, it is. Let me ask you this question. You were talking about you said NFL Films or NFL you were helping them produce?
Yep, NFL. I went down to NFL Films in 2011.
Okay, so talk to me a little bit about that and your journey with that, doing that part of the job there, and what it helped you learn, because you said you had to do more of the playbook side because you knew the logistics behind that.
Yeah, so no, I mean that was the most eye-opening experience ever, because like it was the first time I had access to watching NFL coaching tape, and you know, I know I don't have to tell you like what a big jump it is from college to the
Yes.
NFL
Yes.
as far as what they're doing, X's and O's wise. So to get in the door, actually the first game, because it was 2011 that I started, it was the spring of 2011, so the first game that I watched was your Super Bowl win over the Steelers.
Yes.
And just seeing the way you guys were messing with Palomalu and all that stuff. But no, just getting to learn.
You can't leave Clark out. He was one too. He was messing with him too, picking on. They was the big little brothers.
You know that to this day, still, Clark is still like he was a happy guy until that needle throw in between him and Palomalu for that touchdown to make it 21, put him up, 21, and it was right over his fingertips. The longer he's had to think about that and live with it, if you watch his TV progression of when he started to where he is now, he has gotten extremely more grumpy through the years every time he has to think about that and it gets brought up. It's just hilarious.
I mean, that is still one of the best throws I've ever seen in my entire life. And I'm telling you, I actually did for our show a couple weeks ago. I put together the top 10 plays from Aaron Rodgers' career. And I'll say this right now, like if we did a combined list of the top 10 plays between Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, and Aaron Rodgers, I still think all 10 would be Aaron Rodgers. Because his highlight reel is unlike anything I've ever seen in my entire life.
I think, Peyton Manning has that mechanical, game where he's consistent throughout his passes. They're a little wobbly, but, they get to where they need to be. And Aaron Rodgers, he's just from 1 to 10 is just more of a wow factor in his throws.
Exactly. Yeah, the different arm angles, the way he moves around in the pocket, the way he moves around outside of the pocket, and just the things that he tries that, I don't think Tom Brady and Peyton Manning would even attempt to do. It's just, to really sit down and go through like every single throw, like basically every single throw he's made in his career and like watch it all in succession like that. It was just, obviously we all know how great he is, but to sit down and do that segment and watch it like that, it really was like mind blowing to go through like the 12 years of it.
To me, to be honest, I feel like he picked up some of that just that I don't give a crap from Brett Favre, so far as just the gunslinging mentality. But Aaron Rodgers he's a sharpshooter. He wants to sit back and pick you off. But just in those games where he has to just chuck the ball up, I feel like he kind of has that Brett Favre mentality. Just learning and growing under Brett and just taking his game to the next level. Those guys, man, day in and day out, they had quarterback school. They were every day they were out there maybe 20 minutes to 30 minutes earlier than everybody else, getting their quarterback school in. And everything they did in quarterback school it evolved around the football. Just the ball around the head, the ball around the body, moving their hand around the ball, catching the ball around their legs like it's a basketball, stepping through the bags and throwing off their wrong foot and just all these awkward throws that you see him completing now that's surprising to the normal eye, to the scouting eye. It's him. That's what he's been doing since day one. And I wanted to just ask you about this because you said you did some scouting. And being with the Detroit Lions, what's your we had Rico on the show last week, and he said how Aaron is tending to look more like a game manager, and that the Minnesota Vikings and the Bears are, in his eyes, projected, and statistically wise, to be over the Green Bay Packers. from a scouting eye, what's your take on that?
Actually, to correct you, BJack, it was 2 weeks ago, and it was a producer from a rival show who's also a friend in
My
Hembo
bad.
from
It was
ESPN
Hembo.
Get Up.
Hembo.
Yep.
It was
Yeah.
Hembo. It was
So
Hembo.
we're just going all around here on you big time show producers and getting your guys' football takes. It's just one of my favorite things to do because let's be real, we all love the stars, but without guys like you and him doing what you do, these shows just can't, they don't happen, you know. So there is a lot of brains behind the operation that goes into it.
I really do appreciate that. And Brendan, to answer your question, looking at what the Packers have this year, coming back, I still think they're the team to beat in that division when you look at it. Because I don't think that the Vikings lost a lot. Yes, they made the trade for Unique Ngakoue. Yes, they drafted Justin Jefferson, but losing Everson Griffin, losing Diggs, losing Linval, losing all those guys, Xavier Rhodes, even though he didn't have the best year last year, like it's hard to replace all that in one offseason, especially an offseason that's been this weird.
And I don't mean to cut you off, but real quick, they did pick up the defensive linebacker /linebacker from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Do you feel like that will help them, or does that make any difference?
Oh yeah, it'll definitely make a difference. It makes me feel a lot better about them losing a guy like Everson Griffin for sure, because I think he can replicate that type of production. But again, I think at best with them, they make a lateral move this year, and they finished behind the Packers last year. They weren't really in the same class as them last year. And the Bears, I think that quarterback situation is still incredibly worrisome. Their offensive line situation is still incredibly worrisome. I think the only team that you look at in the division and say they really got better was the Detroit Lions. I don't think they got better to the point where they're going to compete for that division title, but I think they're the only team that you can look at. I think the Packers, Vikings, and Bears at best made lateral moves, while the Lions made a lot of improvements. But the other thing that I think you got to account for with the Packers is how young that defense was last year. They were a top 10 defense as it was. I know it's a bad taste in everybody's mouth what happened in that NFC Championship game against the 49ers, but there is so much young talent across the board in that defense. They've invested so many early picks on that defense. I mean, we still haven't seen anything out of Rashawn Gary yet. And that secondary is still kind of coming into its own. So if those guys continue to progress and develop in the way that the Smiths came on last year, I think that could be a top 5 defense this year. And if they have that on that side of the ball, we know what they can do offensively, even though they may not have the quality of weapons that a lot of Packers fans want them to have around Rodgers. I think they have more than enough to make a run towards an NFC title.
Okay. I know this is a Packer radio show, but I want to hit on the NFC for a little bit north. You did say the Detroit Lions are making improvements, but with the trading of Darius Slay, how do you think the defense has improved? Plus, do you think is it DeAndre Swift, the running back, will perform with the Detroit Lions?
As far as the defense is concerned, losing Slay is definitely a big loss for them. But I think Jeff Okudah is fantastic. The rookie out of Ohio State that they brought in. Right. He's he's as well-rounded and as talented a cornerback prospect as I've seen, I think, in a very long time. This was a loaded draft. This is a super talented draft, and for him to go as high as he did, you don't see corners really go that high very often. And I think that tells you a lot about how good he really is. And then they bring in a lot of guys with credibility into that locker room too, like Jamie Collins coming off the year that he had in New England last year, a kind of career resurgence for him. They bring in Deron Harmon, also from New England, who's a really solid safety. A guy like Desmond Trufant, if he can stay healthy, he's a good corner. So you look at the guys they brought in a lot of veteran presences who who have a lot of talent. And then if Okudah can live up to his potential in year one, I know it's a lot to put on a rookie at that position, but that defense can be really good. It's transforming in a hurry. And then on the other side of the ball, I mean, Stafford last year before the injury was having a career year. He was on track to lead the NFL in yards and touchdowns before that injury took him out. So if he plays at that level again with some improvements in the defense, and as you said, I think DeAndre Swift is a really talented back. Adding that into the mix offensively, I think they could have a pretty good year this year and surprise some people.
Okay, so basically what you're saying is as long as Aaron Rodgers is at the helm and at the quarterback position, the Detroit Lions will not have a chance against them, but can improve their record overall in the NFC North. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Like I wouldn't be surprised. I know it might sound crazy right now, but I wouldn't be totally shocked if they could finish second in that division this year.
Okay, because right now...
So he's saying what I said, and you said I was crazy, and now you're smiling at him. Why is this double standard?
Because the reason why I'm smiling is because we're having different people on the show, Jay, that's giving different opinions. One guy say the Packers. One guy is saying the Detroit Lions. One guy is saying the Chicago Bears are projected to have a better season than the Green Bay Packers, statistic-wise, analytically wise.
Well, look. You got to give Hembo a little bit of a break. The guy is like a beautiful mind, okay? Like he is. Sometimes I think he's so caught up in the statistics, which is a wonderful thing, that you gotta guide him along on the tape side of it. Whereas now you gotta look at Matt's background. Matt's background is more like my background. It comes from seeing the game, watching the game, knowing it from on the field with your eyes, and the stats have come later. The stats are secondary. Like, that's why that's why I feel the way I feel about stuff.
So Hammer.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to put in order the NFC North division, how would you put it in order? What would be your first, second, third, and fourth?
I think as of right now, I would go Packers, Vikings, Lions, then Bears. But I think it's close between the Vikings and Lions for that second and third. I think the Bears, that quarterback situation really worries me. The defense is slowly deteriorating year by year. They're still going to be good defensively, don't get me wrong. But I'm worried about that offensive line, too. They're going to need to run the ball no matter who ends up playing quarterback for them. They're going to need to be able to run the ball consistently. And while I like David Montgomery, if he can get healthy, last year there was nowhere for him to run with that offensive line. So, and they did nothing to really improve it. They really they're paying the piper now for that Khalil Mack trade. They haven't been able to add a lot of top end talent through the draft, and they don't have a lot of money to throw around either. So they've kind of been stuck with what they have, and I don't know that it's good enough to be a winner this season. Okay,
so Matt, with your cat eye, you're looking at the Green Bay Packers. What is just one thing, their strength and one weakness, or thing they need to improve on?
I mean, I think the biggest thing that they need to improve on is finding somebody to step up other than Devonta Adams in that receiving core on a consistent basis. Because, I mean, we know how fantastic Devonta is when he's healthy and when he's out there. But, especially given the fact that they passed on the chance to take a receiver in the first round, to play opposite him, one of these guys, whether it's Valdez-Scantling or Alan Lazard or whoever it is, one of these guys we've seen them make plays and flash and make some plays at times, but they need consistent production there. And I mean, obviously the biggest strength, Aaron Rodgers, obviously the biggest strength. Outside of that, as I said, I think there's a lot of really good young talent on this defense, and I think it kind of gets overlooked because everybody just focuses on Rodgers.
Right.
And everybody, as I said, I think people have a bad taste in their mouth from what happened in that NFC Championship game.
Yes.
But I really like this defense a lot. I mean, Savage is going to be a hell of a player. Jair Alexander's turning into one of the best corners in the league. They got a great tandem of pass rushers. Kenny Clark is a monster in the middle. So, When I look at that defense, I think it's a real strength for them, and I think it's something that people are going to have to start taking notice of this year.
Oh, BJack set you up. This is what he did. He set you up, and so I want to take you.
I did not set you.
I want to take you on a little questionnaire journey in the mind of Jay and see where your thought process is on this, because I've been trying to lay this down for weeks, and BJack he trips over it and can't pick it up. So I'm gonna let's see where you can come with this. All right. So first of all, on the show on GMFB with the crew, you guys have discussed a lot about the draft process and the picks and everything, and the questions about the Green Bay Packers. Is that correct?
Yes.
You guys all seem to agree that they didn't do enough and aren't quite sure what their exact direction is with the amount of draft picks and where they use them, correct?
Hammer, don't let him guide your answer. He's guiding your answer.
Kyle went in that direction. Peter's more
of the
about it.
Right. Okay. That's true.
And the way, if I can give my opinion on that,
yes.
Honestly, when you look at the talent that Jordan Love has, it's incredibly alluring. He's a guy that I looked at in the draft process, like, insane talent, a guy that I would like to see sit for a year. Like, I wanted him to go to a place like this where he'd have a chance to sit and wouldn't be forced into play right away, because I think that's when guys can get into trouble in this league. They develop bad habits. They don't get to fix the bad habits that they currently have because they're so worried about learning the playbook and acclimating themselves to an NFL offense that they don't really get to work on the things mechanically that they need to. So from that standpoint, I think he landed in the perfect place in Green Bay. And I really think if you look at it, if they really truly believe in him wholeheartedly, which obviously they do, and you see him sitting there for you near the end of the first round, and Rodgers is getting up there in age, as great as he is, you see a guy of that caliber sitting there for you, it's hard to pass up on him. It really is. At the most important position in all of sports, I'll go as far as to say that. It is really hard to pass on a guy of that caliber sitting there if you really do believe in him and you've done all your homework on him and you feel super confident in him. So I do understand. I understand the pick from that perspective. Honestly, the pick that kind of makes me question them a little bit more than that, nothing against him as a player, but the Andre Dillon pick to me is the one that left me scratching my head more so. AJ Dillon, excuse me. I misspoke. But that pick, again, I think he'll be a solid running back, but we all saw what Aaron Jones was able to do last year and how talented he is. That was a spot. There were still a lot of talented receivers left on the board that could have really helped them. And I think that's the pick to me that made me scratch my head, honestly, more so than the Jordan Love pick.
So so you scratched your hair. Let me wash your hair, right? What you use, Head and Shoulders. Okay, so let me put this on you. So with running backs being devalued, right? And you can go out and you can get AJ Dillon for basically dilly squat, right? And you have two running backs that you drafted that's coming up on contract years, right? So now it's either one, both, or none of them, right? So Aaron Jones had a good year, and he's coming off the year that he had leading the NFL in touchdowns. And so now you're going to have to pay this man along with paying you just paid your linebacker and your defensive lineman. Do you have the money to pay a running back that is not valued in the NFL?
And I absolutely understand it from that perspective, but to take one in the second round, where did they find Aaron Jones? That's my question there.
Fifth round out of UTEP.
Fifth. Yeah, fifth.
Or fifth round, excuse me. Jamal Williams, fourth round pick. So you look at where they were able to find those guys, and there were a lot of talented running backs that ended up going later on in this draft. as well. So I just look at it from that perspective. When you have such a deep receiver draft with so many guys that have the potential to be, number ones or number twos in this league, at a position that is tougher to find. It's hard for me to justify. Again, it's one thing to make one pick for the future. If you want to make the Jordan Love pick for the future, that's great. Second round, go get a guy that could help you right now. You were a game away from going to the Super Bowl. So that's where, to me, like, again, if they took one of those receivers in the first round and then went A.J. Dillon, I wouldn't feel the same way about it. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like after you make that Jordan Love pick, now go get a guy that can help Rodgers this year. And again, not saying that Dillon can, not saying that he's not going to be, a solid player, but
Right.
Because I think he will be. But I just think there were more pressing needs for them at that spot.
Okay.
So basically, what you're saying is, in the first 4 rounds, they couldn't get anyone to help A-Rod.
Basically.
Quit leading the witness. Order in court. All right. So we're gonna get back to this line of questioning, but here I wanna throw in my little theory here about Jordan Love. My own thought process right here is the number one mistake that I see franchises make in the last 10 to 15 years in the draft is not preparing themselves to get and have a quarterback that they actually like or love, so to speak. And that's why we see Christian Ponders, we see Blaine Gabberts, we see what's the kids out of Washington a few years ago that the Titans drafted?
Jake Locker.
Jake Locker, drafted in the top 15, and then you go back and you watch their film later after they bust out, and you go, there clearly wasn't the tape here to justify that pick. And so what you end up doing is, as a franchise, you end up in a situation where it's the most important position in all of sports, like you eloquently said, Matt, and you have to have one, and now you're in a situation where you have none, and so you kind of like, it's kind of like closing time at the bar. You convince yourself this is the hot chick you want to take home. And then when you wake up in the morning, you're coyote ugly and you try to chew your arm off so you don't have to wake her up. So my theory with the Packers is that they don't do anything orthodox. From all the way back to trading a first-round pick for Brett Favre and other picks and players for a 4-string quarterback that nobody, was never going to see the field as far as they were concerned down there, to, doing all the things they do organizationally. If you look at their track record, they don't do anything orthodox the way the rest of the league operates, and somehow they've been the second most successful franchise in the last 10 years behind the New England Patriots. So, to me, what they did is they go out and they find a quarterback, pun intended, that they actually love his traits. They actually believe this is their guy of the future, and there's no pressure for him to play. There's no pressure on them to need to take it, so that's why they do it, because he is in the perfect pressureless situation when you do that. No need to play. No need to even be – I don't even think he's going to be the backup quarterback. I still think it's going to be Tim Boyle this year, and I think he's going to play the Aaron Rodgers role his rookie year and be the third-string scout team quarterback, so there's absolutely no pressure on him. That, I believe, is where the Packers get this right with their quarterbacks and why they have had 35 years of Hall of Fame quarterback play.
Yeah, and I think you have to look at the direction that things are going in this league right now with where quarterback contracts are. The only quarterback to win a Super Bowl that's making even over $20 million a year, which right now is, kind of average for a quarterback once they get that veteran deal, is Tom Brady. We've seen firsthand, like, Rodgers got that big contract. They haven't been able to win. They haven't been able to get the talent around him with him making the type of money he's making. The same things happened with Russell Wilson in Seattle. That roster, really declined around him. After he got that money. You see it just across the board in this league. It's really hard, as important as the quarterback position is, it's really hard to win when you're allocating that high of a percentage of your cap to your quarterback. And even Aaron Rodgers is the most talented quarterback I have seen in my lifetime. And even with him, they haven't been able to win another one since. And I think that tells you a lot. And I think we're going to see teams now opt to go with a younger quarterback on a rookie contract over some really, really good veterans. I think Dallas is going to be a really interesting situation to monitor this year. If Dak, let's say Dak has another pretty good, above average type of year. I think that's going to be a great one to monitor.
He will.
Yeah. So, do you really want to pay him $30 million?
So you're going to have to.
Yeah, and risk losing a bunch of key pieces to your team. They already lost Byron Jones. You're going to risk letting other key pieces of that team walk away? Or do you take a shot in the draft, bring in a young quarterback that's not making very much money, and keep that great team around them?
Or you just trade your overpriced, underproductive running back that won't be used in Mike McCarthy's offense anyway to the Arizona Cardinals and get a haul.
Stop.
Ezekiel Elliott, I can my bold prediction for this season, Matt. You can put it on the books. You can write it down so that you have it. That I said it. Jay Andrews on Titletown Brawl, the Brawl Network. Ezekiel Elliott will not touch the ball 25 times in a game ever this season. In Mike McCarthy's offense, this guy believes in it, and I think it's absolutely hilarious because he never got 20 touches in a game ever in Mike McCarthy's offense.
That's asinine. That's not a bold prediction.
No, it's a bold prediction, and it's going to be right. Why? Okay, so you answer me this, Matt. If you have Ezekiel Elliott, and you've built the Joneses built the current team from the line of scrimmage out. They have lost Zach Martin. They have lost their right tackle. They have had influx their right guard, right? And what did they do as soon as Mike McCarthy gets there? Did they stick to the Jones philosophy of going out and getting a lineman in the first round in a draft? Like, these are some of the most athletically gifted offensive linemen I've seen in a long, long time in this draft class. No, they didn't. What did they go do with Galladay, with Amari Cooper, and with their other kid they already got on their team? They have 3 solid wide receivers. What did they do? Oh, they went and got CeeDee Lamb. Why? Because Mike McCarthy likes to run 4 and 5 receiver backs sets with 1 or no backs. So you tell me how the hell is Ezekiel getting his touches when they went out and they got more toys?
In the passing game as well.
No,
running game.
No, you didn't get him that many passes either.
That's another asinine.
I remember Brandon catching the ball all over the place back in that season. Second of all, I think Brandon's absolutely right. I think there are a lot of ways to get him touches in the passing game. He's a talented receiver, I think, more than he gets credit for. And if this offense doesn't run through Ezekiel Elliott first, they're going to be sitting home in January again. I truly believe that. This was the number 1 passing offense in the league last year, and look where it got him. I think, if you don't adjust your philosophy based on what you saw last year and based on what you've seen work for this team in the past, and based on what Dak Prescott is, not saying Dak Prescott's bad, but Dak Prescott isn't the guy that I want to put my team on his shoulders. I want him to operate within an offense that's a run-first offense. That's where
shouldn't have hired Mike McCarthy then. Mike McCarthy was proven in Green Bay. That's why he got run out of town, because without Aaron Rodgers, he was sub 500.
I will say this too. When you look, Mike McCarthy's success is going to be based on his ability to evolve. Look at Andy Reid. The type of stuff Andy Reid was doing in Philly, and the way that he evolved once he got to Kansas City, the way that he took so many concepts from the college game and built his offense around the type of players that he had. If Mike McCarthy wants to try to fit square pegs into round holes, it's not going to work. If Mike McCarthy took that year off to evaluate what he's doing, if he's taking the time to look at his roster and say, here are my strengths and here's what I have to work with, and if he maximizes what he can do with what he has, he can be incredibly successful, because he's also proven that he's a pretty brilliant coach. He just needs to adapt.
And when he signed his contract with the Dallas Cowboys. He even said it himself. He's going the more analytical route, or he's hired analytical people to do the numbers. And also with that, Jay and Hammer, when you have a running back like Ezekiel Elliott, you don't limit him to the running game. You put him in the screen game. You put him out wide and toss him the football and let him go. And in Mike McCarthy's offense, this is the third team he has been with where, according to Hembo, you had 3 game managers. In Alex Smith, when Mike McCarthy was the offensive coordinator. In Aaron Rodgers, according to Hembo, being a game manager. And in Dak Prescott, that will be and is above average game manager.
Yeah, but my mom always told me that actions speak louder than words, and if I believed that Mike McCarthy wasn't just saying what he was saying so he'd get another job, I believed him. But then when they went out and knowing they need at least 1 or 2 offensive linemen to make sure that Ezekiel Elliott, who is highly ineffective when he doesn't have that powerhouse offensive line, let's be real. And his first decision, his first round pick, is to go out and get another toy on the outside that he does not need and is not going to make or break this offense. From what you're telling me, actions speak louder than words. His actions are telling me he's not changing at all.
Let's not sit here. Let's not sit here and act like Mike McCarthy did not run the ball with Ryan Grant and I. So you're and then you got a guy like Ezekiel Elliott that has led the league before in rushing yards.
Over 50%
has the rushing title.
Over 50% of those rushing attempts came out of shotgun.
You're telling me that he can't that he won't run the ball with Ezekiel Elliott?
I think we also forget, too, sometimes what Eddie Lacy was able to do early in his career with McCarthy as well.
Yeah, but Eddie also did that with never touching the ball more than 20 times.
But now you want to put a limitation on. Now you want to put a limitation on it. We're taking all the limitations off. What we're talking about is a running back under Mike McCarthy doing well in the running game. Ezekiel Elliott
You just want Ezekiel Elliott to do well. Don't lie. You just want him to do well because you drafted him 3rd overall in our fantasy draft. That's all this is all about. Period. Period.
This is all about what you said at first in talking about that you have a running back.
And I believe it, and I'm sticking to it.
More than 25 times in a Mike McCarthy offense. Well, who cares if he sees the ball 25 or 20 times? As long as they're pulling out wins, other than us, they're going to take the L in.
Yeah.
And I will say this, I just double checked. Eddie Lacy's rookie year in Green Bay, he touched the ball 20 plus times in 11 games that year.
Ooh.
Okay. So thank you.
So 2 years. We give him 2 years. And then
it doesn't matter.
Also, that was 11 times in 15 games. He missed a game in there too. So
yeah, he did. He had a couple injuries he played through.
We'll give him 12. We'll give him 12.
But you know what? I will tell you this. I've also been told by people a lot smarter than me, if I do something 55 times and the 56th time I do it different, am I the guy that did it the 55 times? Is that who I am? Or the one time I did it, is that who I am? The time, so we have anomalies and everything. So great, he did it a few times in one season.
But he hasn't had it back. But having a back like Ezekiel Elliott is a game changer. Right. You know,
okay.
Like
that is true.
Eddie Lacy, the guy Eddie Lacy was when he broke into the league, running backs in the league that year, and while he wasn't able to maintain that standard for his entire career, when he had a guy of that caliber, we saw him feature him.
Yes, you're true. All right, I digress. We got off on a tangent there about Mike McCarthy. Now, I want to get back to this line of questioning here now, okay? So, Matt, you made the statement, Hammer, about not drafting a wide receiver, and you in the good GMFB crew, you talk about the lack of weapons, and this and that. I want to ask you, would we agree that if you assess this talent on this wide receiver class, as deep as it was, there is no all around like kind of talent like an OBJ, like a Megatron, like a Nuke Hopkins, those type of guys were not in this draft. You've got guys in Ruggs that are really fast. You got guys in Jefferson that are really, really good at route running. You got guys that are kind of big 50-50 ball guys. But there isn't any receiver in this entire class that is what you would consider a complete receiver as far as speed, route running, all that stuff as the guys I just mentioned. Would I be wrong in saying that?
Yeah, I don't see like the dominant, Julio Jones type of
right.
superstar in this draft, but like I think a guy like Jerry Jeudy is going to be a phenomenal player. I do see guys that I think are going to have phenomenal careers, but yeah, I don't necessarily see the Julio Jones. Although again, from a Packers perspective, you kind of have that guy already in Devontae Adams, who's a dominant force. That's not necessarily what they needed. Yeah, they needed a guy. They could have used, let's say, a Michael Pittman on the other side of him. Adds a lot of credibility to that receiving core. A T. Higgins. I think those guys are going to be fantastic players, and they both went in the second round. And we're both on the board for the Packers there. So
don't let Jay.
No. Next is. On average, would you agree if I make the statement, on average...
That's the worm on the hook. That's the worm on the hook. Here it goes. It's about to get thrown in the water. Go ahead. Throw it in the water.
Average, can you...
Hook in the water.
BJack, you stop it. I'm trying to question the witness here, all right? Order in the court, sir. Order in the court, all right? So would if I made the statement that on average, wide receivers take 3 to 4 years before they hit, and most of your average wide receivers outside of those Julio Jones, OBJs, Megatrons, those guys like that, on average it takes 3+ years to get, to really come on. And a lot of times these guys are on their second team when it happens. Would that be correct?
Name some of those wide receivers.
Well, I don't know. We all wanted to cut Devontae Adams after 2015, 22 drops, and then the next year he had 997 yards, led the league in touchdowns with freaking Brett Hundley. It was his third year, or his fourth year. His third year, everybody in Green Bay wanted him cut. He had 21 drops that season.
Because you got to understand who he had who was in front of him. Yeah. He had Jordy Nelson, James Jones, Greg Jennings, Donald Driver. No.
James Jones was gone. Jordy Nelson was there, but he got hurt, that season. And Randall Cobb had to step up. And Greg Jennings was long gone. So stop it with that, BJack. Don't try to lie to me. I know my Packers too well. You'd be blowing smoke up my butt, okay? So, anyway, Matt, so you 3 years, right? On average, we can agree 3 years.
This is what I'll say about that as well. I think you have to look at each individual receiver on a case-by-case basis. And I think if you look at the guys over the past couple of years, the guys who have had 1,000-yard seasons right off the bat, there are two types of guys. You have guys that are route running technicians, like an Amari Cooper, like an A.J. Brown, or you have guys that are big body guys with really good hands, like
really bad quarterbacks.
Yeah. You look at like a Mike Evans or like a even Kelvin Benjamin, don't forget, before all his injuries, had 1,000-yard season as a rookie. And I think there's a guy on the board in the second round named Michael Pittman Jr., who I think could easily be a 1,000-yard guy right off the bat. I think he's that type of a talent.
Now, I've heard you guys had this discussion on the show yourself. So, would I be wrong in saying the kind of take on Aaron Rodgers from an outside view is young receivers have a very hard time getting in Aaron Rodgers' trust circle, doing the right things for him to even want them on the field to be on there? I wouldn't be wrong in saying that, right?
It appears that way through what we've seen from the outside.
But once again, that's a receiver basis. Like,
yes.
Okay. No, well, hold on, BJack. No, stop it. Now, Alan Lazard is
Jordy Nelson.
How long has Lazard been on the team?
Alan Lazard. No, here you go. Alan Lazard is in what year in the league, Matt?
what is it now? Is this
It'll
going to be his
third year?
Third year? Yeah.
Yep. And NVS and Equanimous St. Brown are both going into their third year, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, he did it last year. He did it. He came on last year after 1 year. You saying in his third year or after his third year?
No. Stop it. You're trying to interrupt. You're trying to interrupt what's going on here. You just stop it.
No, I'm not.
So
I feel like I need to turn on a bright light.
Right. I just turned on a bright light because I feel like I'm about to.
So
I'm on the next 48 over here with Jay. He's gonna scold you until you just give him an answer.
So what the second leading reception getter on the team last year was who, Matt? It was Aaron Jones with 48. Okay. Alan Lazard had 43. So if you're going off of that, if you're going off of most receivers, what we discussed, take at least 3 years, most of them, that's more the rule than the exceptions, okay? And you have a quarterback that the rule for the most part, outside of exceptions, is he doesn't gain and doesn't like young receivers in their mistake making. And you have a plethora of guys that you drafted that are going into their third year when most receivers hit. And you also now have a weapon in Aaron Jones that was the second leading reception getter on the team, even though he was underutilized in at least 8 games last year as far as getting opportunities at receiving. Does it not make sense to go out then and get a 6'3", 255-pound Derrick Henry Jr. to take pressure and free up Aaron Jones, who has shown that he has the skill set minus the speed as a Tyreek Hill in his first 2 or 3 years before he became an exclusive outside receiver? Would that not be getting him the requisite weapons and supplying him with the people that he would be most comfortable with, has the most rapport and most trust to be able to run the offense the way that they want to do it under Matt LaFleur?
Aaron Jones is not a wide receiver. Stop. He's not
he
Le'Veon
was last year.
Bell.
He was number 2. He was number 2. 48 receptions.
Because
that's more the fact
outside of Adams. Stop.
The fact that he was number 2 and he only had – it's not like he was Alvin Kamara with 81 catches. The fact that he's number 2 and had in the 40s tells you that they have an issue at receiver. You shouldn't be the number 2 receiver on the team when you have 48
Because
balls.
if it's going to become an issue, then Aaron Jones can say, pay me like a wide receiver. With 40 catches, that's not wide receiver money. So, they're not treating him as a wide receiver.
I didn't say they're treating him as a wide receiver.
Wait, let's look at a team that did have a running back that hauled in 81 balls, like I just mentioned, Alvin Kamara. What did they do this offseason? And they brought in a number 2 because they realized they haven't.
He's old and washed up.
The entirety of Michael Thomas's career.
Right.
He was a difference maker that helped the team get to a Super Bowl last year.
I think that would be more Deebo Samuel than it was Sanders. Deebo came on.
It was Emmanuel.
Stop it.
He is a difference maker. He is a legitimate threat as a number 2. Like if you bring in a guy, even just bring in a guy like that, he may not be what he was 3 or 4 years ago, but he was a good player, a good solid number 2 receiver last year that you can trust. Even bringing in a guy like that, like the Saints that have a running back who basically is a receiver as well, and comparing that you can line up out wide and have run routes down the field, they still felt the need to bring in a number 2 because they realized that you can't just run your entire passing game, try to run your entire passing game through Michael Thomas.
But the Saints don't run a system that's anywhere near Matt LaFleur's, correct? I wouldn't be wrong in saying that, right? It's a
different system.
It's more of a heavy package, multiple backs, usually only 2 receivers, right? So hold on. So if you're looking at this, right? I don't have the exact percentages stats, but just off my head from taking my notes, Aaron Jones had 19 rushing touchdowns last year, Matt, but they had an issue of converting 3rd and 3 or shorter in the run game with both Jones and Williams. They proved they couldn't do it. Now, you put Aaron Jones inside the 5-yard line, and he was very productive at hammering away those hard yardage. So if you have two backs on your current roster that have proven in between the 20s do not have a knack and are not capable of converting short yardage running situations to keep you on the field, then why does it not make sense to go get a guy like him and free up Aaron Jones?
So I just don't think you draft a short yardage running back in the second round.
But he's not.
The NFL draft.
But he's not. He's a multi-tool that can do a lot of stuff.
Hammer. I'm gonna change subject because Jay's just lost his train of thought.
No, okay? I haven't lost my train of thought.
We went from talking about a wide receiver to a wide receiver running back to a short yardage running back. Like, come on, let's just say.
See, you're putting labels on him that he is going to come back and bite you in the ass for that. When he's running for 150 a game on 15 touches, you're going to have to eat those words, BJack. I for shame you as a former running back.
I'm hungry right now, so I'll be willing to eat those words. But Hammer, let me ask you this question. With the type of system that Jay said Mike McCarthy ran that was playing and that's why he got ran out of town, what we've seen in these past 2 years from LaFleur, is it not McCarthy-esque?
There's definitely elements of that McCarthy offense in there, and I'm sure some of that is due to keeping the comfort level, Aaron Rodgers' comfort level, since that's the only system that he's ever known in his NFL career. We've seen some other wrinkles in there for sure, but I would say it isn't. He comes from the Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay tree.
Right.
It looks more like
blasphemy. Mike Shanahan.
I would say it looks more like a Mike McCarthy offense than it does look like a Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay offense. I would say that.
And so with that, Jay was just talking about taking the ball out of Ezekiel Elliott's hand, right, and putting it in those wide receivers' hands. Okay, so when you do what Jay is saying and you add that to the Packers, which the Packers offense right now looks Mike McCarthy-ish, would that not take the ball out of Aaron Jones' hands, which you're saying he's a running back / receiver? So won't that be taking the ball from Aaron Jones?
Man, did you pay attention to LaFleur's press conferences at the end of the season last year or at any point last year? Did you watch the Packers, Brandon?
I'm talking about you, Jay. I'm talking about what you're saying.
They iterated several times that last year the expectation that we were going to see a full-blown LaFleur offensive system was never going to happen. It was 50-50. No, this is his second year. He just got hired last year, pal. Second year, man. You have got a time clock issue. I don't know if you got a time traveling machine or you got a sleep pod that you nap in too much. Can't figure out what day it is. But he basically said several times that for the most part, this playbook was a 50% marriage of him and Mike McCarthy, and a lot of times it was 60% McCarthy because those concepts were most comfortable to Aaron Rodgers, and yet they were concepts that in a roundabout way can transition them into a full-blown LaFleur offense. This year you will see a full-blown Matt LaFleur offense the way he wants to run it. It is drafted that way. They will design it. And so the idea, and that's why they went and got a running back and a tight end in the second and third round.
Hammer. I'm going to give you the number one rule of thumb in NFL football. When in doubt, blame someone else. That's what it sounds like is coming out of Jay's mouth, what LaFleur has said. 60% of Mike McCarthy. That's why he got ran out of town, according to Jay. So won't that get LaFleur ran out of town if you're running 60% of Mike McCarthy's offense?
You're trying to get a 36-year-old quarterback that's been in a system for 13 years and only knows one verbiage: drafted and developed from the 2005 to 2018. You can't just walk it. That's like me working at a restaurant for 20 years and a new owner coming in and changing the menu up and saying, "We're not going to cook anything." No, you gotta give me some time, man. We can't just open up and debut and have me cooking all this new food for the first time. We're gonna have a damn train wreck if that happens.
I mean, I will say this, we've seen, again, not that he's been in the league as long as Aaron Rodgers, but, we've seen Matt Ryan pick up that Kyle Shanahan system with Matt LaFleur there and, put up some career numbers. I'm sure part of the hesitation was Rodgers. We know how Rodgers can be, and I'm sure he wants to run a lot of the stuff he's comfortable with. But part of the job as the head coach is to make that decision. And obviously you want to make your quarterback comfortable. But, his decision, if he wants to change the offense and run that offense, it's not I think it'd be insulting to Aaron Rodgers' intelligence to say that he couldn't learn that system if he wanted to.
Hey, Matt,
that's the direction they want to go in.
They surely made him comfortable by going to get Jordan Love. Yeah. You want your quarterback to feel comfortable, so what you do, you go get another quarterback. Yeah.
Hey, you said it's 99% business, 1% personal.
And you change the offense. Yeah, do them both. See how Aaron Rodgers feel after that.
You see how he gives me such a hard time, Matt? You see what I got to deal with on a weekly basis with this guy? He's so hard to work with. It's impossible. He just doesn't understand me. Like Mike Greenberg says, my genius will not be appreciated until long after I pass. I'm sorry. I can't help it.
I see it going both ways. I got to be fair.
I love it, Matt. All right, now let's get off of this interrogation stuff and let's get on to a couple of different subjects here before we close out the show, Matt, and let you get out of here because I actually got another show to do here that I'm holding them off on too. So, So I want two questions and then we'll get out of here. First of all, I want to ask you, and the meetings when you guys are having your meetings and stuff, and this subject gets come up because. Unlike your show, I've seen conversations that are much more logical and realistic about Aaron Rodgers compared to the hot take that the rest of the national shows want to go out there and just point to a bunch of numbers and say, oh, this is why they drafted Jordan Love. He's clearly in the decline. He's not anywhere near him. He can't do this. He can't do that. Aaron Rodgers is on his way out, and that's why they did it. What is your personal take and then kind of your group you work with when you guys are having those discussions, kind of give us a look behind the scenes a little bit of how you guys and you yourself feel about that narrative of he's in the decline.
Yeah, I don't really see it that way at all right now. I know you can't just point to one play and have it be, an example of everything, but God, I haven't seen many declining quarterbacks make that throw he made against the Chiefs last year to Jamal Williams.
Right.
I think you can put a lot of 22, 23-year-olds out there. They're not making that throw. I think if you want to look at numbers, you can't look at numbers just totally in a vacuum. Again, it's about what he's had to work with. And with Devontae being as banged up as he was last year at points, it might have limited him putting up some of the monster numbers we've seen in the past because they just don't have the other horses in that receiving core. But I think when you look at his play, and as Brandon said, like you see him, he still has that gunslinger mentality out there. He's still moving around in the pocket well. He's still moving around outside of the pocket well. He's still letting it rip. And I think when you look at the way that he plays and the fact that he plays the way that he plays, and yet he's still the only quarterback in NFL history to throw the ball more than 500 times in a season and throw fewer than 5 interceptions, and he's done it now twice, I think just shows you the level of talent that you're talking about there and the level of talent that he still has. I don't really look at it as a decline. I think if they had the appropriate playmakers around him across the board, I think you'd see, statistically, you'd see those numbers match up to what they've been in the past. And I think he's still as good as ever right now.
Agreed. I love that answer because it's I think one of the few truthful answers out there from analysts. And I have to say, I was ragging on Rodgers last year on some of his bad habits and such, and our buddy Ben Fennell came on and then berated me about it, and then spent 45 minutes about how, after the show off air, about how I needed to learn how to watch QB film and this and that, and really schooled me on it. And, Ben's an awesome football mind on his own. And really,
I actually, I worked with Ben at NFL Films for a couple of years there.
Yep. Yeah. And he basically
we
told me
worked right next to each other.
Yeah, he basically told me that those same things that made Aaron Rodgers were those perceived bad mechanics, and he is the same player. And when you go back and I studied the film, he was absolutely right.
But Jay, real quick, that's what I was telling you. People see them as bad mechanics, but
they're not.
Quarterback
they're trained.
School. Yes, they're trained motions, trained thought, trained everything Aaron Rodgers is doing and has done. It's all been in his training process. Because if you get put in an awkward position or awkward situation, you can't throw off your back foot, or you sometimes
that Kansas
have to
City
set up
throw is a perfect
yeah.
result of those training processes. You're falling down, guy on your legs. You got a sidearm, underarm it 35 yards on a rope. In like I think there was Matt. I think it's like a 2.1% completion percentage probability or something like that. Like,
yeah,
if you are mechanically sound, quote unquote, you can't make that throw.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and every quarterback has different mechanics. When I coach quarterbacks, I wouldn't try to coach them all the same mechanics because everybody's a little bit different. You have to work within their, you want to be consistent in your mechanics, whatever they are. I mean, look at Phillip Rivers. You never coach somebody to throw the ball the way Phillip Rivers does, but
ugly.
It's ugly looking, but the results speak for themselves, and you work within that. You just want to make sure there's consistency there.
Right.
There are only a couple quarterbacks.
Peyton Manning, I don't think I've ever seen him throw a spiral, but the ball gets there.
Exactly. But all his drops look the same. His mechanics look the same every time. You see him repeat those motions, just like with Rodgers, even the weird arm angles and things like that. They're repeatable motions that you see from him time and time again. So I think it's all there's no one blanket way to train a quarterback or to teach a quarterback his mechanics. And I think when you try to do that, you end up, messing a guy up. You got to work within who he is.
Yeah, it's like basketball, like Lonzo Ball, like the ugly sideways shot. I mean, you can only correct it so much until now the player don't even have confidence in his shot anymore.
Yeah.
All right, BJack.
Look at Sean Marion. Sean Marion was able to make it work for a while.
Lord.
BJack, do you got one last question for Matt before I ask him my last one?
No. I think I drilled him, but you drilled him in the next 48
he has been the best sport ever, Matt. I'm going to tell you what, not a lot of people can put up with the shit that I put him through the way you have, and I have a feeling that's because you're a producer, and you just know what I'm doing, and I'll give you credit. You didn't break, man. You are like the Russian KGB just under the lights, like, I will not talk.
I mean, I would have handled it even better if I knew, a half hour ago we were allowed to say shit on here.
Oh, yeah, we can say that. Yeah, we can say that. I don't swear a lot, but I dropped the S word a little bit here, Okay, so my last question for you is the most important question, and it's going to perk up the ears of everybody out there, including the people you work with. I need to know a definitive answer who your favorite member of the crew is between Kay Adams, Nate Burleson, Peter Schrager, and Kyle Brandt. Who's the best one? Who's your favorite?
I mean, you can't put me in that position right now.
Plead the fifth, my brother. Plead the fifth. See, I told you he's putting you in that next 48 hole. See?
I'm sweating over here.
Oh, I just doing that just to get to I got pulled collar a little bit. No, we know you love them all, but I'm just kidding.
They're all my children, and I love them all equally.
Oh, that is such a great fatherly answer there.
It is. It is such awesome. My heart almost melted on it. Then I thought about it. That's the same answer I give.
All right. I got to thank you a great deal, Matt. You really did. I put you through the ringer. You were the Russian guy. You will not talk. You did not break. You're a good sport. I really appreciate you coming on. It was a lot of fun, and we got to get you on again, man. I won't treat you so harsh the first time. I got to see if as a producer, if you're really as tough as we're all supposed to be. And man, you are the best of the best. I'll give you that.
No, I appreciate you guys having me on. This is a lot of fun, and yeah, whenever you guys want me back, just let me know. You have my number. I'm more than willing to come back on. You guys are the best.
All right, BJack, final thoughts before we get out of here. And Matt, if you just want to hang out a minute, we'll talk a little bit after the show. If you got some time, I like to chit-chat a little bit with you.
Absolutely.
Oh, no, I'm good, man. Everything is going well. Make sure if you have not registered to vote, make sure you register. Make sure you vote because your vote does count.
All right, final thoughts for the evening, Matt. And tell everybody how to get a hold of you and all your stuff. Plug all your stuff, man. It's your opportunity. Plug all your hard work because you do a lot of it and you deserve for everybody and all your recognition.
Well, for those who don't know, Good Morning Football is on NFL Network Monday through Friday, 7 to 10 a.m. and re-airs from 10 to 1 as well. And you can find me on Twitter, Matt Hamilton25, on Instagram, Matt Hamilton25. And I love that sentiment from Brandon. Get out there and vote. That's the only way we can start to create some change with everything going on right now. So make sure your voice is heard.
And with that one, that is the show. We want to thank our guest, Matt Hamilton, the producer of NFL Network's Good Morning Football. All the love to him and his crew. And, if you got nothing to do, get up in the morning and turn on and watch their work. It's great. You can hit me up on the Twitter at UPJ33. He is at BJackson32. I am at J_Andrews033 on Instagram. He is at Brandon Jackson29 on Instagram. Follow, like, and share our Facebook page by searching Titletown Brawl. And don't forget to give our parent company some love, The Brawl Network. Hit them up on the all-new website, thebrawlnetwork.com. Go there, sign up for free. It's your one-stop shop. The Brawl has it all, baby. And don't forget to give them some love on social media. Hit them up on the Twitter at Network Brawl. And search them also on Facebook and Instagram by searching Network Brawl. We love you all. We'll see you next Wednesday. It is going to be the last show before kickoff. Football's right around the corner. Stay safe, stay happy, and love one another. Go Pack Go. Peace out. Much love.
Testify how we made martyrs out of these fathers and rose up all of his daughters.